This episode of The Casual is brought to you in part by Squarespace. For all your website needs, Squarespace delivers it in an all-around package to help you build a beautiful, integrated online presence.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Reggie, Casual Fashion Brand. Fashion brand types are a dime a dozen, and some are better than others. However, far too many play off the same themes without realizing that they're pretty much the most predictable, pretentious, and downright boo this brand types that anyone could possibly make. And we must talk about these because if you're making a brand, you shouldn't do these type of brands or these type of themes, but mostly because we like complaining about things. That's why we're gonna talk about it. So I got 7 brand types that are downright trash right now in this generation, but also suggestions on how to make them way better. That's next. Let's get it. Side note, I feel like we talked about this before, but I think this one's gonna be a little bit better because we're gonna give suggestions. So, call me out if we've already done this. All right, so first up, we got the freedom/follow your dreams brand type. This one tops the list for pretty much every novice street brand. And the reason? The brand runners are usually projecting. The people who are creating these brands, they're projecting their own feelings. They say, I want my brand to inspire people to do what they want to do in life. Or even something edgier like, yo, F the system, bruh, do what you want. But honestly, that's what they're trying to tell the world about themselves, like the brand runners are. And as a result, the theme usually comes off vague at minimum and pretentious at worst. And I know some people will stand by these type of brands like, yo man, you just don't get it. It's about making a statement. But honestly, that's what the clothes are supposed to do when you design them. Like, how does your brand reflect the freedom without those words? Like, with just design. Solution. Specify exactly what kind of dream you're referring to. Choose something that you can get multiple design references from. What communities of freedom seekers are you influenced by? Travelers, off-gridders, skydivers? Choose a group and watch the brand get way more focused than just be free. Next up is the cousin of the dream brand, and that is the hustle hard. You gotta hustle hard, man. You got the hustle hard brands. Do whatever it takes. The motivation brands. Personally, I've always kind of laughed at t-shirts that would say things like hustle harder. Like, what? Like, are you telling me to hustle harder? Or are you telling yourself? Are you purposely being an a-hole? Or are you just incredibly forgetful? I'm not sure. And therein lies the rub. Hustle hard brands suffer from the same projection as freedom brands, except this time the brand demands, and the people wearing these brands demand that everybody else do it too. Basically, these brands have a tendency to remind people to work hard and to stop wasting their time on frivolous things like buying brands that aren't really worth their hard-earned cash. I get it though, it's supposed to be inspirational, it's supposed to motivate, but it really isn't. It always comes off as pretentious. Solution! I'm a firm believer that fashion brands, or any brand for that matter, has to be rooted in narrative and story. It has to be story driven, you gotta be saying something. Who needs to hustle hard? What community needs this message? And how will you represent them without plastering messages on their chest? If you want to be an inspirational brand, you gotta give the people you target something to aspire to. You can't just say hustle. I mean, after that, then what? All right, next up we got the self-deprecating brand. You know the theme, the whole school dropout, I'm inferior, anti-social, those type brands. The I'm so edgy, everyone should know it brand. Maybe I should have said that, but that might be a little too long for the lower third. But you get what I'm saying. These brands are incredibly pretentious, and people who engage with this, they don't even know it. It's like, I'm anti-social, look at me. Like, I'm a high school dropout because education sucks, or you're all sheep because you like stuff that I don't. These brands, much like the people that buy them and make them, are really projecting their disgust of the world. Like, they just don't like things. However, it falls apart once these overt displays lose their effectiveness once a lot of these brands become incredibly popular. And then the brand runners just cash in, and then it's not even a anti-brand anymore, it's just hype. Solution: Rick Owens, Rei Kawakubo, Jun Takahashi, Margiela, Vivienne Westwood, many more designers. They were able to take their dissatisfaction of the world around them and create true anti-fashion establishment methodology in their design language. That's a whole bunch of stuff, but you kind of get it. They never had to say that they were against the world, they just showed it. Study them and you'll be in a much better place as far as a designer and building your potential brand. Next, we got the all Black Emo brand. Now this one's tough because I don't want anyone to get this confused or conflated with labels like Julius, Yoji, or Rick Owens. Those aren't emo brands. Those are silhouette-driven, post-avant-garde labels. We're talking about the borderline, trying too hard to be edgy, all Black emo labels. Basically a cousin of the anti-labels, but they're just in black. These labels can use anything from anti-religious imagery, drugs, or even anime as themes. It's a whole try-hard get-up, and some brands play off the aesthetic horribly. Thankfully, most of these labels faltered in the late 2000s, but not for a lack of trying. They just never grew up with the people that attach themselves to it. This is an issue that many brands face, especially when a brand is tied to a heavily penetrated trend. It has to evolve and show growth if it wants to maintain its base. And most of these emo, not quite goth labels never seem to understand that people like consistency as long as it follows their personal trajectory, meaning they want the brand to evolve and mature with them. Solution: don't make an emo brand. Leave that to the H&Ms, the Zaras, and the fast fashion, and all those teeny bopper brands. Dig into far more sophisticated communities and build an underground brand. That would be so much better. Trust me, you'll thank me later, and you'll be designing in no time, and you'll actually enjoy it. All right, so we got 3 left, but before we get into that, you know what it is. Message from Squarespace. A big part of this fashion industry is presentation. That's why Squarespace offers up professional, clean, and easily customized website themes that will have you presentation ready from jump. So no matter if you're running an up-and-coming label or just want to sell some novelty merchandise, Squarespace's e-commerce options, social media integrations, and robust analytics and data-driven backend make selling, promoting, and managing your website incredibly easy. All that, and you can save 10% when using our code squarespace.com/thecasual when you sign up. So why are you hesitating? Get started and make that website using Squarespace today. All right, so we got the top 3. The Be Creative brand is what we're gonna start off with. Now, I am personally sympathetic to the Be Creative brand because I get that the heart is in the right place. This is not as pretentious as any of the other ones on this list because I genuinely believe people who want you to be creative simply want to be inspired, right? They want to be inspired. They love beauty in all forms. But here's the problem. Simply having that as your entire brand theme is too broad because here's the little secret. Every single fashion brand on the planet is asking you to be creative. Designers are literally making clothing right now for you to creatively put together in your wardrobe. They want you to be creative. That inspires them. That's like the whole point. Also, be creative is just not specific enough. We as people have heard that 1,001 times, but many of us can't stand hearing it because we're like, yeah, be creative in what, my dude? Like in what? And what should I be creative? Tell me, please. Solution: choose a specific artistic discipline and focus on showcasing that within your brand as design elements. That automatically can inspire people to be creative. You don't have to tell people to be creative because most people are inspired by the work, not the words. Coming in next, number 2. Probably the most ridiculous is the Use Asian Text Chinese Kanji brand. Admittedly, most people don't make full-on Chinese text or Japanese text labels, but the elements are incredibly overused, which kills it for labels that actually do a good job of implementing East Asian themes within their design ethos of their collections. So let me make it clear, being inspired by China, Japan, Korea, or anywhere else in Asia isn't played. It isn't. but simply putting Chinese/Japanese characters on clothing pieces probably is. It was cool like maybe 10, 15 years ago, but today it screams try hard, and East Asians as a group are getting far more serious about cats using their culture without its proper context. Many of them are probably just tired of the mystification and objectification of Asian culture. And this has been happening since like forever, but they've been really quiet about it. Solution: if you are truly inspired by Asian culture, particularly East Asian culture, study it and reference it as a student and scholar. Don't just plaster Asian words all over your stuff. Trust me, I did that. It's literally one of my undergrad degrees, and it has done wonders. While I still personally have some inroads to make with East Asian Americans, not as a whole, but a few. Many Japanese who live in Japan have personally thanked me for introducing Japanese fashion to just this corner of YouTube. Coming at it from an area of respect will pay dividends in the end, I promise you. And it probably wouldn't hurt to learn how to speak the language of the country or nationality or ethnicity that you are trying to reference. Probably wouldn't hurt. I mean, if you're doing something from China, you get some inspiration from China, you might want to learn a little bit of Chinese. Doing something from Japan, you might want to learn a little bit of Japanese, you know, just be, you know, Nichijou Kaiwa, you know what I'm saying? Like everyday conversation. That's just my advice. You ain't got to, but it would help out. And finally, we got the This Isn't a Brand theme. This is one of the all-time greats because when it was done at first, it was pretty clever until everybody started, it's not a brand, bro. This is like basically streetwear's version of anti-fashion. And while it had merit as going against the grain, most brand runners that adopted this theme thought incredibly highly of themselves. They were just above it all. I'm above the fray. They would say things to the effect of, this isn't a brand, it's a lifestyle, it's a community, it's a message. Okay, so basically your not brand is the exact same thing as a brand is supposed to be. It's supposed to be part of a lifestyle. That's what most brands do. Most brands have determined communities, and every effective brand has a message. So your anti-brand is a brand? Okay, all right, see how that goes for you. Most of these brands really just wanted to stick out as unique and edgy, but it got so boring and outdated that no one even cared. It's like, who are you fooling? You're not fooling anybody. No one's fooled. No one's fooled anymore. Solution: if you truly are making a community lifestyle message type brand, then you're doing the right thing, but you should focus on building and integrating into communities that may resonate with your brand designs. Like in design and film, we have this saying, show, don't tell. Show me what makes your brand unique instead of cutting the corner and saying it is when it really isn't. Design, design, design. That's usually the solution. Stop talking about how you hope people will view it and design how you want people to view it. The truth is, brands today should tell fantastic or at least focused stories. You don't have to be fantastic, but have a focused story. Target real life people instead of telling us these half-cocked, vague messages that nobody really gets. Brands should feed into community interests rather than establishing overarching statements like be creative. Sure, many of these themes discussed on this list can be within the brand methodology and ethos, maybe even for use in marketing materials, but they shouldn't be the whole kit and caboodle of the label. You'll run out of ideas in like 5 seconds because you're pulling from a finite source, or at least a very broad source, and you don't have any focus for what the elements of your brand are going to represent. Unless, of course, the brand that you create isn't a brand at all, in which case I have no effing clue where the source of influence is coming from. Maybe it's coming from nowhere. In any case, can you add to this list? Are there any other brand types that totally missed the mark, are just too vague that you have no interest in and you wish that the brand runners would be a little bit more specific? That's wordy, but I think you know where I'm coming from. So let all of that be known in the comments. And if you want to get in on a range of topics in real time, you can join me on Instagram Live by following me, Reggie Casual, and you can also follow The Casual as well. Or maybe you want to learn how to start your own personal and or fashion brand. Well, we got you on that too. Check us out on Patreon to get access to our brand building series class, our private Discord, and monthly webinar filled with individuals just like you. creating amazing works within our backend. But most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info on international street fashion culture and business from LA to Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. And I will see you guys in a minute. じゃあ今日はここまでです。